in track, there was a particular girl on my team who was the number one. She was the head honcho. She was number one. She was a team captain. She was the fastest, quote unquote. So I always thought I was supposed to stay behind her. I would stay right behind her at practice. We ran cross country. I would stay right on her shoulder, right behind her. I would never pass her. Because in my mind, I'm like, she's supposed to be she's the faster one. She's the team captain. She's the number one. I'm supposed to be behind her. And one day I literally thought to myself, I said, Ernestine, you are faster than her. Why are you holding yourself back? And I kid you not, I'll never forget, it was the Pasadena Games. That track meet, I beat her. Because I knew I was faster than her. And I knew that the only thing that was keeping me from beating her was my mindset of, you're supposed to be behind her.
Yeah.
Yo, you're listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. It's about time that we invest more in our financial literacy and work towards building generational wealth. If you think you're ready to do the same, then you've come to the right place. Alex, Marlon, y'all ready? Let's get this bread.
What's good, everybody? It's Alex Muñoz here, and we are back with the Money Monopolizers podcast, back in Atlanta, Georgia. And I am here with my co-host, Marlon Walls. Marlon, how you doing today, bro?
I am doing utterly fantastic now because we have gone through several different people that we've talked to all throughout this, throughout our time here in Atlanta. This is going to be one of my favorites, though.
Okay. Hey, that's you talking heavy already.
This is going to be one of my favorites because of like the transformation that I had when I first heard her speak. First time I heard her speak was actually back at the Content Creation Boot Camp last year. And so like the entire mentality shift that I had just from listening was like just revolutionary, because you were able to see how somebody can just be fearless, like within, like when they're creating content, when they are speaking from their level of expertise, like these type of things that I was able to see and somebody else made me more confident within myself.
Okay, so the people wondering, who do we have on the show today?
Fact. So so that's how I'm feeling right now. Well, that's you asked me how was I doing, but we have a fantastic guest. She is a poet. She is an actress. She is the owner of she's co-owner of the place that we're actually recording these in, the Legacy Center.
Yes.
This is Miss Ernestine Morrison.
Hey guys.
How are you doing?
I'm phenomenal. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. We appreciate you being here.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. And shout out to you and your husband Jay for this beautiful building that y'all have built over. I think, when did y'all complete this? 2018, I think.
We launched. Our grand opening was January of 2020.
Oh, 2020. Okay, gotcha.
We started doing the development in 2018, and we finally got to launch January of 2020, right before the pandemic hit.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy, but I mean, this is the building is absolutely amazing. It's a beautiful building, and we appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And shout out to our 15,000 TREF partners. We are all partners in this building together.
Okay, there we go.
You have 15,000 partners with this, like in order to like get it funded off the ground and everything.
Yeah, when we started the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, the TREF fund, we had 15,000 investors plant seeds and
that's no small
across
feat.
The nation.
That is no small feat to have that many investors. So how did y'all even go about doing that just to get started?
Well, it was a vision for that Jay had well before he met me, and I just came along to help him put the finishing pieces to the puzzle, but ultimately created a way to kind of model Black Wall Street, Black in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He wanted a sophisticated and transparent way where we can galvanize our people and put our dollars together and practice group economics and purchase real estate assets all across the nation. And that's what we did. And we went on a 25 city corner class tour where Jay preached and teached in the corners, on the street corners, and taught real estate to our people in the most underserved communities. And we raised money from 15,000 people all across the nation to purchase real estate. Yeah, that's what we did.
That's a dope story right there. So I love everything that y'all have built together.
Thank you.
I also went back like into your history, like to see kind of who you were before this. Like before Ernestine Morrison, there was Ernestine Johnson.
And
there was a whole story behind that. But I would love for you like to give a brief overview about like how you were growing up with money, like within your household, and kind of how it shaped who you are today, like almost before and after like marriage and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm from Los Angeles, California, from the Valley, grade 818. I'm a Valley girl. And I didn't grow up poor, but I didn't grow up rich. I grew up, I would say, middle class. I got allowance. I had a car on my 16th birthday. I had a sweet 16th birthday. But the way I looked at money was I had to work for it. So like I had to get grades. I had to, I ran track. So when I did good in track, I would get bonuses, and I had to do my homework and do my chores to get. So I grew up in a kind of middle class environment, but I grew up understanding. I was spoiled. I can't say that. I'm not going to lie. I was spoiled. However, I was spoiled and it came with good works. Like if I did great in school, I did great in my report cards. I did my chores. I ran good. I did good in track. I was rewarded. And so my mindset with money is you work for it. That was my mindset. Like you work for it and you work hard for it. You set a goal, you set your intentions, and you're rewarded. So that's kind of how I live now. Like I understand like to strategize. I'm a track girl. So I equate life to track.
Right.
Track literally helps shape my life and how I live my life. And you set a goal, you set clear intentions for your goal, whether you run the 400, you run the 800, or you're trying to make a certain amount of money for your company for the month. You set the goal, you do the work to get to the goal, you set clear intentions on how you're going to do the work, and you execute and you accomplish and you smash it. Right. That's how I live my life.
So I love it. So going from early childhood, going into like adolescence, going into like college and everything, like what was your mentality as far as really, because I know a lot of things you do now is like the poetry, the actors and everything like that is very fierce, very like, and very outspoken in that sense, especially when you're in your element, it's a completely different person. I've heard Beyonce say this before.
It's my inner Sasha Fierce. She comes out. I don't know where she comes from, but it's a spirit that just comes. It's God. It's really the God in me.
Yeah. So, and were you always like that growing up?
I would say that I wasn't, but I always had the intention. So I knew I wanted to be an actress and a poet at 10 years old. 1998 was the year that I started both. And I've always known that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in front of the camera. I wanted to be on the microphone. I wanted to write. I knew this is the realm I wanted to be in. However, I didn't always have the confidence and belief in me that like to actually go out there and do it.
Right.
Like in my mind, it was there. In my mind, I'm like, I can be this big. I'm going to be the next Oprah. I remember I had a homework assignment in the 5th grade, and I put Oprah's name on it, and I put a camera and I put a microphone. Because in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be like an Oprah. But I didn't know like how I was going to get there.
Right.
And I don't think I had the gumption back then that I have now. And right now I'm full of gumption. I'm full of conviction. I'm full of confidence. And back then I lacked it. But it took years and years of self-work. Really, really just working on me and honing in what God put in me. And now I'm fearless.
Right. And that's what kind of the angle I wanted to take with everything is because of the fact that a lot of people will see entrepreneurship and it's like like a foreign territory, something that it's like a big leap. And I have to like gain the confidence in order to get into that type of that realm of life. Like they may be stuck with their 9 to 5. Like a lot of people that listen to us, they're just beginning entrepreneurs, or they see entrepreneurship as a way to go, but they have a fear of like taking that leap forward. So things like that it's like common between whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's anything that you were doing. So like, how are you able to start working on your mentality growing up in order to give yourself that level of confidence?
Well, again, I take it back to track, and I'll tell everyone this: get into a sport. Like when you have a sports background, it's like that athlete. I'm forever an athlete, even though I haven't ran track in many years. I'm forever an athlete. Like I was trained. I had work ethic. I had discipline. I had a schedule. I had a regimen, and I took that and I ran with it, and that's how I lived my life. Like track taught me how to stay in my lane. Taught me how to run my own race, taught me how to strategize and train for my own race. And I still have that mindset today. And, I always tell people, visualize how you want your life to be. And when I didn't have to necessarily, I didn't have a job growing up. My job was to run track and to win championships, and that's what I did. I didn't have my first job until I was 18, 19 years old in college. And my very first job was working at ESPN Zone in Las Vegas.
Right.
And I was around a certain caliber of person when I went to UNLV. I ran track for UNLV, and I was in Vegas, and I was hanging out with some pretty high rollers and the who's who's. And once my mind was like, I was introduced to all these things that I never even knew were out there. I was like, I want that.
Right.
And then once I realized, I'm okay, well, in order for me to get this, how do I get there? So I remember my first job with ESPN Zone. And then my second job was I started working in retail. I was in the retail space, and I worked at BB. And then I upgraded from BB and went to Nordstrom. And Nordstrom, had a nice clientele. I was, working with the Floyd Mayweathers, some athletes, some business owners in Las Vegas. And then I just kept seeing more things around me that were more expensive and more shiny. And I'm like, I want these things. I want this lifestyle. So in my mind, I'm like, what do I have to do? Because I go back to thinking like a track girl. What do I have to do to win this race?
Right.
And I'm like, okay, right now I work at Nordstrom. And at that time, what I knew was retail. I was in the retail game. I was a college student working retail. And I said, but if I made a little bit more money, I could buy a little bit more things. And I said, how could I make more money? I'm like, Neiman Marcus is a step above Nordstrom. And I kid you not, I went to Neiman Marcus. It was in the Fashion Show Mall in Las Vegas. I was on my lunch break at Nordstrom. And I walked over to Neiman Marcus. I said, Neiman Marcus has a higher price point. That means it's a higher ticket clientele. That means it's higher commission.
That means I make more.
That means I make more money. And I went to Neiman Marcus on my lunch break, and I was like, can I speak to a manager? And he happened to be the manager. He's like, I'm the manager. I said, I would love to work for you. And he just loved my personality and loved how confident I was just walking in there. And I ended up moving from Nordstrom to Neiman Marcus. And Neiman Marcus is kind of how that was my strategy to start living the life that I thought I wanted to live at that moment. And that season of my life, that was what I wanted to do. That's the amount of money I wanted to make. So
it did make more money for you too.
Oh yeah, make more money. And
nice.
and it was a strategy play because it wasn't just about the money, it was about the access. Because I understood that Neiman Marcus, a certain person, especially
Very
back
true.
then.
Right.
I'm 35. I'll be 35 on Mondays. I'm older than you all.
Happy early birthday to you.
Thank you. So I understood that with Neiman Marcus came with a different clientele, which came with different access. And now I'm rubbing elbows with a different caliber of person.
Right.
And I met a lot of my mentors and people that I really are some of the most brilliant business minds in the nation I met at Neiman Marcus. And that opened my mind up. But again, it all started with strategy. And I give that honor to track. Like, it's to strategize your race. If you run the 400, you should be training for the 400. You shouldn't be training for the 800 or the mile. Or
we got PTSD thinking about
that 400.
400
Oh my god,
that's the worst race.
So, I just understand to train for my race. I set my intentions on what my race is. Okay, what is your race? You run the 400, so you need to train for the 400. You need to strategize around the 400. You need to think about the 400. You need to think around the 400. I'm not worried about who's running the 200. I'm not worried about who's running the 800. Right now, I'm focused on the 400, and that's kind of how I live my life to this day.
So I really love what you're saying, especially because one thing I realized just in terms of your mentality is that you see something, like you see a target, and then you ask yourself the question, how can I get that?
How do I get it?
Right. And I think a lot of people miss that. One mentality that I'm a big advocate for, a proponent of, is the be, do, and have. Right. So in order to have something, I have to first do something. But in order to do something, I have to first be someone. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's essentially what I'm hearing. And when you break down your journey, right? Absolutely. Yeah. And so I love that. So at that point now, while you're working, at Neiman Marcus, how did you kind of transition from that into, what did you get into after
So
that?
I was a theater major in college.
Okay.
The goal has always been acting and entertainment. So I knew that. And then working at Neiman Marcus and Nordstrom, it was still a check. It was a check for me to keep my lifestyle, to keep, living. I'm in college. I'm in Vegas. I need some money. Yeah. But I always knew that it was entertainment and acting for me. And I used Neiman Marcus to meet some amazing relationships. I met a gentleman by the name of Dennis McKinley, who happens to be here in Atlanta now. Okay. I met him back in Las Vegas, and he put me on the red carpet for the very first time. I lied my way into that position. I said he had a platform called McKinley Presents. It was McKinley TV, and he did all these red carpet events for the major clubs in Vegas. And he lost his red carpet girl, his red carpet host. I think, I don't know, she called out sick or something happened. Whatever it was, God opened it up for me to get squeezed right on in there. Yeah. And I said, I can do it. I had my own radio show, and I was lying at the time. I didn't have my own radio show, but I was an intern at a radio station. But I lied. I have my own radio show. I can do it. He said, meet me at Caesar's Palace tonight at 9 p.m. I said, okay, cool. Done. What do I have to wear? He's like, a nice black dress. Well, at the time, I didn't have a nice black dress. So I said, cool, I'll be there. Black dress it is. So I was friends with the guy who worked upstairs in the mall, had a little boutique. And I said, can I borrow a dress, please? I'll bring it right back. I'll keep the tags on. I won't get it dirty. I'll never forget. I have the pictures on my Facebook to this day. He let me borrow an Alice and Olivia black dress. I met the guy there at 9 o'clock. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, he's going to give me some cue cards. I'm probably going to be reading off of a script. It's going to be easy. So I get there, and he's like, you ready, kid? I'm like, yeah, where's my cards? He's like, oh, no, you got a radio show. You got this. Do what you do. So I'm like, okay. So I'm still not super nervous yet because I'm like, I'm up for any occasion. But then he gave me the list of celebrities that were going to be there. And it was like Floyd Mayweather, Jamie Foxx. It was T.I. It was like all these big name celebrities. So now I'm like, oh, my God. How am I going to do this? And I don't know what it was, but he looked at me. He said, all right, the camera's on in 5, 4,
Ooh.
3, 2, 1. And I kid you guys not,
Sasha
this
Fierce.
voice just came over me. I said, it's your girl Ernestine on the scene right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm at the Caesars Palace at Poetry Nightclub. I got Floyd Money Mayweather on the red carpet. It just came out of nowhere.
Sasha
This
Fierce.
voice, the everything, it just came. And that's how I know God has been preparing me my whole life.
Man.
Running track, working at ESPN Zone. You know, working at ESPN Zone, every morning my manager would say, who wants to volunteer and read and let everyone know which games are going to be playing on which television.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always volunteer. And I would read it like, all right, this game's going to be, the Lakers game's going to be playing on here. The Oilers are going to be playing here. The Bulls are going to be playing here. And I would read it with like enthusiasm and, you know, and charisma. And God had been showing me the whole time. He was preparing me for this very moment to be on the red carpet. Gave myself a name, Ernestine on the scene. Like, don't even know where that came from.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so God has just been preparing me my whole life. And that's why I'm so big on preparation. Like, I set my goal and I prepare for it. I prepare for my race.
Yeah.
I was prepared for that moment.
That is.
And that is so crazy because it's, again, I'm just like catching little things like in terms of like philosophies that I really like. And that one it's kind of like the commit first, figure out the rest later.
Yeah.
Man.
Mentality.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like,
lie my way in.
I will
going.
commit first. And the reason why I will commit first, because I know that I'm prepared.
Fact.
I'm so well versed. There's not many things I'm going to commit to if I don't really think that I have the confidence to really follow through.
right. Even though you don't know how I'm going to do it, I'm going to commit now so I don't lose the opportunity.
Yes.
And I'm going to figure it
And
out.
I'm going to figure it out.
I'm going to figure it out because I'm not
Because
going to lose
I
it.
know I'm gifted. I know my gift.
Right,
That's a
right.
fact.
That-
Listen, people, know your gift. Know what
Yeah.
you have to offer. I know what I have to offer. So if you put me in a situation, I may not have all the answers at that moment, but I know God put something special in me, and I know I'm going to figure it out. So let's
Yes.
go.
And I think that is such an amazing thing that people should grasp because I think many people want things to be perfect
never
before
gonna be perfect.
they start.
Listen, perfection is a
Listen.
form of manipulation. It is merely a form of manipulation. That is what perfection is. There's no such thing as perfect. You just go out there and you do it, and you define what's perfect for you.
There was a saying that you had in the content creation bootcamp and has not left me for almost a year.
What was it?
What do you know what you led with? You had 3 words. Yeah, you had 3 words that you led with at the very beginning of the conversation. You ain't say nothing else. You just said, "I need y'all to repeat this for me."
Oh man, I can't remember.
Create, don't wait.
Create, don't wait. Oh yeah, so, that's my motto. Create, don't wait.
And that was like the definition of everything.
Create, don't wait.
Yeah.
Please, that's my motto. It's trademarked. That's my business. GreenLitATL. Create, don't wait. Don't wait on anyone to put you in position. Don't wait on anyone to say, "Hey, here you go. It's time to go." Like, don't wait on anyone to give you the green light. You give yourself the green light, and you do it by preparation. If you're prepared for something, then there's nobody in the sky telling you, no, you can't do this. There's no puppet master pulling strings saying, hey, you can't go do this.
Right. So okay. So now at this point now, because I kind of I really want to like dive deep into kind of like your mentality at that time, and then also like how you again progress from that, right?
Yeah.
So now, what age were you whenever that happened?
This was, okay, I moved to Atlanta. I was 24. So I may have been 21, 22.
Okay, whenever you had the red carpet.
When I was in the red carpet, yeah, I was about 22.
Right. So how long did you do that? And then how did that like?
I did that for about 8 months, and it was great. Off and on, like little gigs that he would call me.
Yeah.
But it was just setting me up. And I don't know if I told you this story before, but when I was 10 years old, the year that I identified that I wanted to be an actress and a poet, when I was 10 years old, I was asked to read the church announcements in church, in the big church. And I was in children's church, and then they pulled us over to the big church, the big congregation, and asked me to read the church announcements. And I read the church announcements. I just read them off the paper. Just read them. And the entire congregation stood up and they clapped. And I'm like, why are they clapping? I just read the paper. And then this is my 10-year-old mind. I'm like, I just read the paper. Like, what's happening? And it was then God was showing me, I am setting you up because your mouth is so powerful. Your mouth is your gift. And that very same year, I wrote my first poem. It was a haiku. That very same year, I booked my first job on a major set. It was Seventh Heaven as an actor. Like, God was showing me the whole time, I'm prepping you. I'm prepping you. And every opportunity that came my way, I just always took it with enthusiasm and energy. You got to be excited about being excited. Some people weren't excited about reading the ticker in the morning at ESPN Zone at the restaurant.
Right.
I was excited. I'll do it. I'll read. I'll read the church announcements. I was excited about it.
Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I've seen a lot about you is that the level of enthusiasm with what you do.
Yeah.
And I think this comes a lot from the fact that you identified very early a purpose for yourself in life.
I did.
Now, I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of people do not know what their purpose is, even going through high school, going through college, and they graduate doing things that they don't like to do because they haven't found what their purpose is in life.
Yes.
How do you talk to that particular person? I feel like that is something that I haven't really been able to grasp, because I've had people that's even within my friends and family that I would love to be able to get them a perspective of how to have this level of enthusiasm. But at the same time, if they like that purpose and they don't know what to have that enthusiasm for, they don't do it.
Yeah.
So how do you even address that?
You know, that's such a loaded question, an interesting question. I don't think there's one answer in particular, but, you know, again, I just go back to track. For me, it was, I like to win. And when I ran track, it was like, we're setting this big goal. We're trying to win this race. We're trying to win this meet. And everyone feels good when you win. And I'm like, I just wanted to win. And whatever it is that you're good at, whatever it is that you're good at, whatever it is that like it helps you change people's lives. Like sometimes your passion isn't your purpose, right? Like a lot of us have passions.
Very true.
But sometimes your passion isn't your purpose. And one of my pastors told me that your passion is something you like to do. And your purpose, I believe, is something that you like to do that helps others, right? So like I just identify what you're good at that helps others, that serves in a big way, that makes impact. And want to win at that. Right. You should want to win. Like I feel good when I'm able to pour into someone, and just even you saying, "Hey, the words you said that day changed my life." Like I love that. That's how I know I'm walking in my purpose, because I'm changing people just by me merely speaking. I'm changing people's mindsets.
There's not many segments that I remember from that day. That is like the one that's like that stuck with me long term, because that was, especially, I don't know if you remember, there was another guy. We were doing like a segment where we were like trying to record a video, and he said, I messed up at the end. And so he just stopped the whole video. Oh yeah. You had an example that said, you should have just cut off the very end where you said I messed up, and just go ahead and post that and say the rest will be on YouTube or something like that.
You figure it out in the moment. I don't believe in just like, you just figure it out in the moment.
You're right.
Nobody knows you messed up but you. And
that's the biggest thing, is that people have a subconscious fear about what they are, what they know is like imperfections within them.
It's this idea of perfectionism that you think you have in your head. When I'm telling you, perfection is merely a form of manipulation. So you want it to be perfect, and you just want to be manipulating people all day, because guess what? Nothing is perfect, and actually it's more perfect when it's not perfect.
Right. That's kind of what led me to, like, now this goes back into like how I create content now, because having that perfection mentality will actually stop you from doing a lot of things. Like, for one thing, you
want it to be right, and you want it to be perfect.
So you rather post nothing you would rather be perfect in absence rather than imperfect in presence. Basically.
Absolutely.
I think that's crazy, just based off what kind of just happened when what was going around, because this camera literally died, so I had to flip these other ones around. But a lot of people, because I know a lot of people, you know, they want to get into podcasting and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, oh, you know, there's things like this. It's like, yo, it's not perfect, but we got to kind of just figure it out along the way.
Listen, I just filmed a whole movie. I just produced I just produced a feature film. We did a 13-day shoot. Everything that could go wrong on a set went wrong.
Facts.
Cameras, equipment, lighting, crew falling out. We missed this person quit, this person got fired, like whatever, but we still got it done.
Yeah.
By any means necessary, man. Create, don't wait on it to happen. And you got to roll your sleeves up. I had to, if you have to be the cameraman, the editor, the lighter, and the interviewer, then that's what you have to do.
Amen.
When I first did Social Proof podcast with David Shands, it was just him.
Yes.
He didn't have a team. He got up, he mic'd me and him, he pressed record on the camera, he went and stopped it every 13 minutes or whatever, because he has this weird camera. I mean, I was amazed. I'm like, it's his own production team. And that was years ago. And now look at Social Proof Podcast.
But because you got started in the first place, because you're willing to be imperfect.
And because he was willing to be imperfect, now it's one of the top podcasts in the nation.
And that's like I said, that's a lot of like what I took away from that day, is the fact that everybody has like these fears of getting started because they want to get started perfect. They see somebody else that's doing it for like take David Shands, for instance. They see him doing it at this certain level, and they are trying to start there. Yeah. But what you don't realize
is we were 3-4 years ago, he was micing himself, the sound was off, the audio was off, the lighting was horrible. Like, you know what I mean? You just do it.
He talks also about like the first like 10. I think he had Jay on that one time too.
Yeah, he had Jay on there. He had me
And
on there.
I don't think he had a name for the podcast.
No name for the podcast. No one knew what the name was.
The first 10, 12 episodes, no
Yep.
name, but
Yep.
just going anyway.
Yep.
And that's a lot of what I've learned over the past year, especially, just is about doing things imperfect, because that is actually where we get our unnatural results. It's just by
Well,
just
and
doing it in
it's
the
really
first
what
place.
makes you great. Like
Yeah.
you greatness is in the details, and the details come, and all the little kinks and quirks and things that happen. It comes with time.
Right.
Like, I believe in being seasoned. I don't believe in this new popcorn generation where you just wake up and want to be a mentor, wake up and want to be a coach. Like, you were never even a student, but you want to wake up and be a coach. Be a student, fail multiple times, learn it, like learn the game, be a student, hone the craft first, then be the coach, then be the mentor, then be the boss, then be the pop-in person. But like, everybody wants to shine, but they don't want the grind. Like, the grind is part of the shine, baby. Like, I'll never be shining without my grind. I didn't just wake up shining.
And the thing,
I put in work.
I love that too, because I know the shine is like a temporary moment. Like, the shine is like, it's something you get to, and you get there and then it passes, right? But
Yeah.
the person you become from the grind, that's who you are for
That's
the rest
who
of
you
your
are,
life.
yeah.
That becomes you.
Yeah.
So it's like the journey, and I know it's cliche to say, but like embracing the journey and really appreciating there's beauty in that journey, because that is forming who you are, I think is huge.
I understand that now on such a deep level that, and again, you said it sounds cliche, and it does, but it's so real. When I tell you the journey is really the destination.
Yeah.
Like I'm so seasoned and so cultured. Like, I don't believe that I'm ever gonna fail. Not to say that I won't have low moments or moments where I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? But I know so much and I've done so much that I know that I can be successful at anything.
Yeah.
Because I've done so much work. I put in so much work. I've sowed so many seeds in different industries. Whether I just want to go quit and be a full-time poet, or if I want to quit and be a full-time actress, or I quit and want to be a full-time filmmaker, or I just want to quit and just run the Legacy Center. Like, either way, I'm going to be successful because I've done so much work, and I was a student in so many different walks of life. In so many different seasons of my life, I was a student. I put in that grind. I'm good.
Yeah.
So y'all can shine for this quick little 15 minutes. I'm always going to shine.
Right.
I'm always going to shine because it's in me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about like putting in the
not
prior
on me, it's
work.
in me.
Yeah.
It's not all me, it's in
That's a
me.
fact.
It's in me. Seriously. Like, I mean, again, it sounds cliche, but it's the truth. Y'all can have a little 15 minutes of fame. That's cute. 15 minutes of fame. You don't, the grind, you shine in the rest of your life.
That's a fact. And do you think that you and your husband both exemplify those similar traits? In regards to
Absolutely.
that?
My husband he's put in so much work. I mean, years and years and years and years of work, failing, figuring it out, showing up, creating, not perfect. Like, we've done so much work. I have no doubts that I'll always be successful.
And that's one thing I've like noticed within both of y'all is like, to be honest, y'all are both like powerhouse type people that both came together. And it's very interesting to see that dynamic, because oftentimes, I don't know if that dynamic would clash with one another or not. And I always was wondering about like, how does that dynamic even work for y'all, whether it's in business or even in personal? Like,
Specifically in the personal life, I think.
Oh no, sometimes we butt heads.
Yeah, because I know y'all are both.
Got on my nerves this morning. No, we're both extremely dominant. We're both, we're both powerhouse individuals. We both have very sharp minds and loud minds. We're both visionaries. So I think that's the brilliant part about us, because when we come together and we're aligned, it's magical, and we create historic things. But then there are moments where we're like, tug of war. And I, as a wife, I have to be cognizant of that and understand. Like, I believe that the male is the head of the household.
Really?
So I do believe in that. I'm a little old school in certain fashions. I believe that men take out the trash and women do the dishes. Like, I still believe in that. So I know that there's this new age feminism movement going on where
we don't talk about that here.
I know there's that movement going on, and to each his own. That's good for them. But I believe my husband is the head of the household, but we do butt heads sometimes. We do butt heads. We're both very vocal and powerful minds. So yeah, I mean, we figure out how to navigate our rhythm.
So how do you? And you could choose how to answer this, but how does that balance come about though? If that's like naturally who you are, how do you like? Okay, when I get home, I gotta kind of like tone it down, or do you not tone it down, or like, or maybe you don't call it tone. Like,
I think there's moments. there's moments where I'm like, okay, EJ, tone it down a little bit. Girl. You are really just, you are cruising on a thin line.
So self-awareness for sure. Yeah.
I'm, and one thing about my husband and I we're both very self-aware, extremely. I mean, I don't even know anyone who's more self-aware than my husband and I. Like, we are both like able to be like, okay, you're tripping right now. Okay, all right, Ernestine, you're tripping. Just fall back a little bit, and he'll be like, okay, Jay, like, so yeah, there are moments where I'm like, you know what? Just breathe, calm down. You know what? Okay, if he wants to go left today, let's just go left. Even though you really, really want to go right, it's compromise. It's marriage. So let me just go left, and then we may go left, and it may be the wrong way, and I may be like, see, but you find your rhythm. I believe it. We both believe it. There's tradition that kind of all been implanted in our minds, and then there's your own rhythm. And I think in any relationship or business or self-development, you find your rhythm, you find what works for you, and you work that. So then,
because you mentioned, you say you like agree with the quote unquote gender roles.
Some. I'm not saying all, but I do believe in some still. That there are some parts of me that are still very old fashioned. Yeah. So then, do you like subscribe to like femininity and masculinity as well inside of, in your relationship, or is it more? Yeah, I believe that there are. I do believe that there are masculine and feminine energies, and I do believe that there are roles assigned to masculinity and femininity. I do.
Okay. Okay. It can be a hot subject for a lot of people. So
it is, and again, I don't judge either way, whatever you believe in. That's the beauty of, I think, the time that we live in. Whatever you believe in,
it's fine.
Whether you want to be him, her, they,
Facts.
she, gender fluid, whether you want to be, I don't want to be identified, non-gender, but I love it all.
Yeah.
I just know what works for me and what I believe in, and that's me and my opinion. And whatever you believe in and how you subscribe to live your life, I applaud that as well. So like, I don't believe that it shouldn't be like, oh, if you don't believe what I believe, then if you identify whatever you identify with, and you have the gender roles that you want, that's fine. I'm fine with it all.
Yeah. So Marlon, I know, did you want to kind of get into the what was the other thing you wanted to get into?
Those are two big ones that I want to hit on, because really it's a lot about the empowerment thing, as far as like being able to empower somebody else, because like I said, it wasn't anything even financial that I took away from that conversation back last year. It was more so the empowerment to have the confidence within me to, because even back then, one thing that I had a problem with is necessarily like showcasing what I do outside of my 9 to 5 because of how other people would take it.
Yeah.
Because there was people that had a high expectation for what they wanted to see me do based on like what I did prior. And because of that, I didn't want to, I guess, subconsciously let them down by going another route. And because I didn't want to let them down, I chose to pretty much suppress who I really wanted to be. And I feel like that was something that you could really talk to, because like I think a lot of other people go through the same thing. Like they had like
and
parents,
I think
and
what
like
you know about me is like, I don't really talk money. I don't really talk money a lot. Like I think there's just a million people doing that, and that's great. But I believe that everything that you want is on the other side of you becoming the best version of you. Working on your mindset, working on your heart posture, working on your emotional intelligence. I have another acronym called CROWN. And it stands for confidence, resilience, optimism, willpower, and setting non-negotiables. And that's how I live my life. And that's how I'm successful in different areas of my life, as a mom, as a wife, as a business owner. I operate from the crown, and that's operating on me first. A good friend of mine, David Banner, always said, all the answers to all of our problems are right here. And for those of you who are just listening on audio, I'm pointing my finger at me. And once he said that to me, I was like, wow, it's true. Everything starts within you and your mindset and your habits and your behaviors and how you think. Everything else I can attract. I can attract the money. I can attract the career. I can attract the role. I can attracted my husband. I attracted my dream life. All of that started with me and my self-development and my mindset. And me wearing my crown, walking into my confidence. Confidence is the certainty. One of the definition is to be certain of what you know to be true. And a lot of us are walking around here real uncertain. And we put up a good front and it looks good, and we can put a filter on it and we can make it look good and we can sound good. But you don't really believe in your heart what you to believe to be true. You're not certain of it. I'm certain of what I know. And I when people say confident, like, oh, you're so confident, it doesn't mean you're just confident all the time and you're just always on and you're just always like in a great mood. No, it just means that you are certain in what you believe to be true. resilience, to be bended, to be broken, to be stretched, but being able to bounce back. Optimism, just having a positive mindset, knowing that life is happening for you and not to you. Willpower, having a burning desire, like my goals and my dreams, and I'm sure it burns in my stomach. I feel it. Like I always tell this story, like when I sit at home and I watch the Oscars or the Emmys, like my stomach burns because I'm like, I want to be in those seats. I'm gonna be in those seats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Non-negotiables. Your goals, your aspirations, you have to have a moral compass, and you have to have certain non-negotiables that can't be compromised. These things are non-negotiable. We can't negotiate these things. And you have to have that. And that's how you build your mindset up. And that's how you build you up in order for you to go to be the best CEO, the best husband, the best dad, the best entrepreneur you can be. It all starts in you. And that's just what I preach and teach. Like, I want to be the best version of me. Every day I wake up, I'm like, how can I be a better version of me today? So when you talked about the husband and like the butting heads, like it's a challenge. But if you challenge yourself to be the best version of you, you can be put in any situation and come out and succeed, because you're working on your intelligentsia. You're working on your heart posture. You're working on your emotional intelligence. You can put me in any room. I'm going to be fine.
It's working like the whole being. It's not working on just one aspect of life either.
It's working on your whole being.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people might miss that too, because I think generally in this space of, we're in the entrepreneurship, financial freedom, investing kind of world, it's like so focused on the financial money aspect. But that's really just like the surface level of most of the things. Like the success on that level comes after working on the things.
After working on,
like
the money's going to come, whatever you want. I promise you can come. The money, the dream job, the dream house, the dream career, the dream spouse, all that will come when you become the dream you. Become the dream you first.
Yeah.
When I tell you I'm in such a space right now where I love me, I love me. I'm gonna tell you something. I love me, okay? I love me. Because there was times I know I didn't love her. I didn't think she was good enough. I didn't think she was worthy enough. I didn't think that she could really, really win. Like I wanted to be like the girl with the curly hair and the green eyes, and like the girl who I thought was better and prettier and smarter than me. So when you go through so many years of like not feeling good enough, and you finally get to a point where you're like, you know what? I'm the shit. That feels good to love you.
Now, what point was that at for you? Because you said that was that you were there at some point, but then all of a sudden something clicked, and it's like, now, you know what? No, I believe in me. Like, where did that shift come from for you?
I can pinpoint one instance. I think it's just all of my journey, but I can really pinpoint one instance. And I was at a track meet. Well, first of all, in track, there was a particular girl on my team who was the number one. She was the head honcho. She was number one. She was a team captain. She was the fastest, quote unquote. So I always thought I was supposed to stay behind her. I would stay right behind her at practice. We ran cross country. I would stay right on her shoulder, right behind her. I would never pass her. Because in my mind, I'm like, she's supposed to be the fastest. She's the faster one. She's the team captain. She's the number one. I'm supposed to be behind her. And one day I literally thought to myself, I said, Ernestine, you are faster than her. Why are you holding yourself back? And I kid you not, I'll never forget, it was the Pasadena Games. That track meet, I beat her. Because I knew I was faster than her. And I knew that the only thing that was keeping me from beating her was my mindset of, you're supposed to be behind her.
Yeah. I think that's a crazy physical
example.
Realization of the whole concept that our minds are really what holds us back.
Yeah. When I made up my mind, I said, you know what? Tomorrow I'm beating her. I'm not staying behind her anymore. Because that's what I was doing. I was staying behind her. There was no one telling me to stay behind her. It was just me in my mind, like, oh, she's the girl. She's the one. You're supposed to stay behind her. That track meet, I beat her. And what's even more beautiful about it, not just beating her, but that particular race, I understood it wasn't about anybody but me. I wasn't even actually worried about her anymore. Once the gun went off and it was time to go, I wasn't even worried about her. I was just in my lane, focused on my race. Focus on the work that I did to prepare for this race.
Run your race.
And I ran my race.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about her. Smoked her. That day changed my life. I said, it's all me. It's all in my mind. Yeah. I am the power. I am the authority. The root word of authority is author. When you author something, you speak something, you write something, you think something, you're the author. That means you're giving it power. So I'm like, I have the power to author what I want for my life. Why do I keep giving over the power to other people? Why am I giving her the power and giving outside things the power? I'm the author.
Right.
I have the authority. I give the thoughts and the power and the words and the things that I speak power. I was like, I'm done. I'm the author. To this day, I am the author of my life. Outside of God. I am the power. I am the authority. I am the author. I speak, I breathe, I write life, I speak life. Or you speak death, or you speak negativity, or you speak, woe is me, I can't.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't believe in those words. I'm always going to figure it out. I know too much. I'm too talented.
That's
I'm too
optimism
resourceful.
right there.
That's the optimism in the crown.
Mm-hmm.
Optimism. I'm going to figure it out. Life is happening for me.
Not to me.
Now,
Not to me. Not at me. It's happening for me.
That is the opposite of, like, we see a lot of people with the victim mentality. Like,
Yeah.
everything is happening to you.
Some people would have been
you.
like, oh, I work at ESPN Zone. I'm only making $8 an hour. I love that I work at ESPN Zone. It was life happening for me. Yeah. Had I not worked at ESPN Zone and read those tickers every morning and read the announcements every morning, I wouldn't be one of the greatest speakers of our time right now.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? Life was always happening for me.
Yeah.
Reading the church announcements, that was happening for me. My 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Clark, had me write that haiku and wanted me to win this Lisa Frank sticker box.
Right.
That was life happening for me. It wasn't, oh God, I have to do homework, I have to write a haiku. Oh God, I'm working at ESPN. Oh, I'm working at Neiman Marcus. This is, oh God, life is just so stupid. No, it was all happening for me. It was all a setup. Every moment in your life right now, I promise you, is a setup. Yeah. So that job you think is just so, oh my God, this job is so horrible, or these people are so horrible. I promise you, it is a setup. If you look at it like that, if you take that optimism, that O out of the crown, and look at it like God is setting you up for something, changes your whole outlook. I'm grateful for all. I'm grateful for BB. I'm grateful for Nordstrom. I'm grateful for Neiman Marcus. I'm grateful for ESPN Zone. I'm grateful for dropping out of college. I'm grateful for all of it. It set me up.
Definitely. And I think whenever we have that perspective, you're able to really fully maximize the season or the place you're in at that time. Because when you look at it, it's like, I don't want to do this right now. You're not maximizing what you can really get. Like,
what can you
like
take away
you
from
said, there's the jobs people hate. You don't know. You're missing so many skills.
Yeah.
You could be working as a cashier at Burger King. That's speaking skills. How to talk to people.
How to multitask.
Right. Dealing with difficult people. So many different skills. Which, like, when you look at it like that, now when those negative things happen, it's like, oh yes, I can finally learn this. I can finally experience this, so I can now deal with this and improve on this for what I want to do later.
Yeah.
You don't even know what it is later, but you know it's
a setup.
Exactly.
It's all part of your journey. Is like, it's one of my pastors said, pain is necessary for the process. Yeah. But when I tell you, even the painful parts are so necessary, I'm grateful for it all. The dark, the good, the bad, the ugly, the raw, the nasty, the gritty. I am grateful for it all. Yeah. Because it made me the powerhouse that I am today.
We usually close out these episodes like with we call it a fast five. I already know how you're going to answer one of our questions just based off of this. But I think this has been a wealth of information. First of all, I do want to say thank you again for coming on, because I think this is really like very telling as far as how this episode happened too, because of the fact that we were going to not do it at first. We were talking about not doing it, but just like creating it anyway and just doing it imperfect. And now we still have a great segment all together. So I do appreciate you for sticking with us for all of that. And I really want to close out with our fast five. So we do 5 questions. We answer each one of our guests, and you answer each one in 10 seconds or less. Okay. Like I said, I got an idea about how you're going to answer one of them. When we get to it, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Welcome to the Fast Five.
Cool. So first question, what does success mean to you?
Success means me being able to do something that I get paid for and I'm happy doing it. That's one definition of success. Something that I can do and get paid for and enjoy doing it and be happy doing it, that's successful.
Got you.
Definitely. All right, question number 2. What is your favorite money or business book?
My favorite money or business book. To be honest, I don't have a favorite business book.
I was going to say, what is your favorite book in general?
But I will say a book that changed my life, that helped me get to this mindset, was called The Secrets of the World Class. That book, right? The Secrets of, not The Secret, The Secrets of the World Class. It was by, I believe, Steve Seibold.
And what did it talk about exactly?
Oh, you know what? I know I only listened to seconds, but I lied. There was a book. I just remembered. There was a book, the first money book, a business book I ever read. I knew nothing about like business and finance, like on that level. I was in college in Vegas, and somebody recommended this book. Actually, they gifted it to me. It's called Reallionaire. You guys familiar with the book Reallionaire? By Dr. Farrell Gray. Dr. Farrell Gray's book Reallionaire changed the way I thought about business. And I ended up writing him. Like, you know, on the back of the book, this is people's like the author's email address. I ended up writing him and becoming really good friends with him. So Dr. Farah Gray, Millionaire, and then The Secrets of the World class helped me change my mindset.
Okay.
Y'all got a 2 for 1.
Right.
Yeah.
So third question, would you rather have $1,000 a week for life or $1 million today, and why?
That's a very hard question.
Take some time.
To be honest, I don't know. I see pros and cons for both.
So you can't pick one. If you had to pick one,
You're right.
and they're like, I'm taking both if you don't pick one.
I'd say $1 million right now.
Why is that?
Because I feel like I can invest it. I can monopolize it. I can turn it into more. Yeah. Because $1,000 a week for the rest of my life, that's just $4,000 a month, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Listen, don't ask me any math questions.
Doing the math.
I'm like, hold on, carry the one, bring down the
$52,000 a year.
Give me $1 million right now for sure. Final answer, Bob.
I got this. All right. This question is the one. Question number 4. If you could go back and change anything about your journey, what would it be?
The only thing that I would change if I had to change something, I would go back and tell my 10-year-old self, my 15-year-old self, that everything is happening for me.
Just to be at peace with that.
Just to be at peace with that, right. And just know, like, hey, all the things that you think are going so wrong in your life, it's all a setup. I would just tell myself, hey, enjoy it. It's the setup. It's part of the process.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Last question, and where can people find out more about you?
Yes, you can keep up with me on my website, ErnestineMorrison.com. Please follow me on the gram, the Grizzy, at Mrs. MRS Ernestine Morrison. I'm really big on Instagram, pretty much. All the other social media stuff, I kind of just...
I love the little skits you be doing too with Country Wayne.
Those are my probation officer.
Yes, I love those.
And please check out my new show that I produced myself called Petty Claims Court.
Yes, that too.
On my IGTV, exclusively on my IGTV, Petty Claims Court. It's a show that I produce. Create, don't wait. Not waiting on Hollywood to validate us around here. Yeah. And you can get my journal, my Crown Journal, especially for my ladies who are listening. If you want to have this mindset and be able to work on your confidence, resilience, optimism, willpower, non-negotiables, please get my 21-day Crown Journal. You can get it at ErnestineMorrison.com.
Love it.
There y'all have it. Well, man, this has been an absolute treat. We appreciate you coming on. This has been an absolutely phenomenal episode. And I think a ton of people are going to get so much value out of it. We got into so many different things in a short amount of time too. So
facts. It was a lot in a short amount of time. Yeah, so we appreciate that. But yes, that is
quick and concise.
Yeah, right. That is it for this episode of the Money Monopolizers podcast. New episodes will be released every Thursday and will be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Just search Money Monopolizers wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, we'd appreciate it if you rated us 5 stars and left us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can also find out more info about us on IG at Money Monopolizers. We post informative content on there and reels that are going to keep you engaged. So be sure to check that out and share those posts. But until then, we are out of here.
You've been listening to the Money Monopolizers podcast, helping you take control of your financial destiny. To learn more about how you can be in control of your money, visit MoneyMonopolizers.com. We'll catch you next time when Alex and Marlon share more personal finance and wealth creation tips with you. Now it's time to take action.